Let freedom ring this afternoon at 2 with Sean Hannity, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan, and in for Amy this morning, Kristen McQueary from the Tribune Editorial Board. We're broadcasting from Press Box in Skokie, part of our AM 560 Signature Bank Business Tour. And we're pleased to be joined by Drew McKenna, who's one of the co-founders of Press Box. See, this is what happens when you send your kids to private schools, when they get a quality education at, say, Notre Dame, although that's less so these days. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, they grow up to be entrepreneurs, job creators, or you can send them to public school and they can grow up to snort condoms. So it's your choice what you want to do, families out there. Drew McKenna, who is the son of Andy McKenna, who both Kristen and I know, of course, former Republican Party chairman, run for Senate, run for governor, successful businessman in his own right. So this is sort of fun. Drew McKenna, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for coming out.
So tell us the story of Press Box, which I guess you started with your partner about 5 years ago.
Yeah, so 5 years ago, May of 2013, Vijay Patel, a college classmate of mine, started Press Box. The idea was there's got to be a better way of handling dry cleaning, especially in urban settings. What we do is we install lockers in apartments and condos, started with just Chicago in 2013, to service the dry cleaning and laundry needs of people within those buildings. So it's 24/7 convenience for them, and for us, it's kind of an unmanned, no-rent retail model. We're partnered with about 240 buildings in Chicago, and we've since grown to D.C., Nashville, and Philadelphia.
Wow, and so the inspiration for this, you guys sitting around the dorm watching old episodes of The Jeffersons, or what was the inspiration?
No, we just both always we grew up always wanting to be dry cleaners. So
sure, of course, yeah. It's every boy's dream.
Right.
Yeah.
No, dry cleaning is a really interesting vertical, right? It's massive. Most people are dry cleaning customers, but nobody can really name a national dry cleaning player, and there certainly isn't much technology that creates any kind of sticky experience for residents. So being younger entrepreneurial type people, we thought this is an area that we could add some value and could grow a business within.
See, so Kristen, if it's just a point, and then I'll if you hadn't gone to Illinois State, if you had gone to Notre Dame, you would know what Drew was talking about when he said it's an interesting vertical and he could add value.
I know, and instead I'm in a shrinking newspaper industry. What
old media?
Is it even dead? Is it a vertical? No, probably not. So just the nuts and bolts. Those people can have. Do you have to create locker space at these condos? They put their dry cleaning in. You come and pick it up. You bring it here where we are. We're surrounded by washing machines and racks of clothing, and then you bring it back to them within a 2-day time period. Is that right?
Exactly right. Mm-hmm. So we approach the buildings. Take a 100-unit building, for example, downtown, and we'll say, hey, give us 5 feet of wall space. We'll install our lockers for free, and your residents will have a 24/7 dry cleaning amenity kind of overnight. So for the buildings, it's a great partnership. There's no cost to it, and there's some value of adding an additional amenity for these residents.
And do you do delicates? Because I have a lot of delicates.
We do it all. Yep. Yeah, exactly.
What's the weirdest thing you've ever asked to dry clean?
It was funny. I think maybe our 3rd or 4th week up, we were babies trying to figure it all out, and someone put a full wedding dress in one of our lockers.
Oh, boy.
And we were nervous.
Well, that's somebody who really cared about about their dress. I don't know.
He is sort of burying the lead. It was Rom's wedding dress that established his residency to run for mayor of Chicago. That's an important wedding dress.
Now we know what happened to it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I'm a big shot, right? So I live in a Tony downtown building that has a dry cleaners in the building.
Sure.
Because I don't have time to.
Right.
But for a lot of the new developments, rental buildings, this is a huge thing. So you're in 240 buildings?
In Chicago, yep.
In Chicago. And so what's the experience like in growing communities, unlike Chicago, say Nashville?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Nashville's interesting. We went to Nashville primarily because there's more new construction on the residential side of things in Nashville than anywhere else nationally. Followed closely by Seattle, but there's a ton of new construction.
I wonder why, Dan.
Yeah,
why is everybody fleeing to Nashville?
Because of the robocalls here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So we've created great partnerships with developers in Nashville. We're incorporated in a lot of new communities planned from the outset within the blueprints. So that's great for us. Happens here in Chicago as well. The benefit there for us is we create habits day one as opposed to trying to change behaviors of existing residents. But Dan, in your building in particular, we're getting about a call a month from buildings like yours where that dry cleaner is shutting down. And they're looking for another solution. So,
not Dan's exactly, but just other
buildings
examples.
like that. So.
I see.
Yeah, well, no, I'm not surprised because it's just this is just more
Yeah.
a more cost effective and space effective way to do it, right?
Both of those. We also think we had a little bit more on the kind of customer care side of things. 24/7 support team, things like that.
So, what's been the hardest thing about getting this business up and going?
Yeah, growth is fun, but it's challenging, right? We've had to teach ourselves a lot of new skill sets, hiring, kind of customer management. Neither of us had backgrounds in retail, so there's been a lot of learning. But this place in particular, a year ago we didn't know how to dry clean anything, and now we've built our own facility through a great partnership with Signature Bank, and taught ourselves how to run a dry cleaning plant. So we've added a lot of skill sets, which has been fun but challenging as well.
What's the regulatory environment like in Illinois at the state level? Because you're dealing with cleaning chemicals and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. So dry cleaning gets a bad rap because of a chemical called PERC. It's not great for the environment, and it's not great for people. Truth is, operations like this have moved beyond PERC. We don't use it anymore. We use kind of a chemical called hydrocarbon, which gives you a little bit better result and doesn't have the negative impacts. So you got to register that sort of thing. But since we're not using PERC, it's not overbearing.
And so people can literally stuff everything into a laundry bag, dry cleaning stuff that just needs to be washed in a washing machine. I see big washing machines behind you. You separate it out, you clean it, and then you label it somehow so you're not getting, I don't want Dan's, undergarments getting mixed up with mine.
Absolutely.
So.
No.
Try to keep all the undergarments
Similar
separate.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So most of what we do is on the dry cleaning side, but we handle kind of laundry as well. We'll also do shoe care. But the idea is everything comes through here. We tag each item individually, and then we collate at the end to make sure it all gets back to the right person.
How many hours a week do you put into this business?
Personally, we stopped counting. It's kind of, that's the great thing about being a founder is you just you work when you need to, and there's not so much of a work-life balance. It's kind of a meld of the two. So probably a lot, but I don't really keep track.
How many articles of clothing do you personally wash and press?
Myself? Yeah, I demand to press my own things when I'm here. Yeah, so no, Pressbox is the only dry cleaner I use. How about that?
There you go. Now you're in the Chicago market, so you have to be good at getting blood out of clothes. Is that something that you're very adept at?
Right.
Kind of a value add.
Right.
Thinking about that.
Yeah. Well, we partner with buildings like yours, Dan, so you know that
exactly.
crime is high.
Right.
Have you gotten any pushback from just the standalone mom and pop dry cleaning shops? Because I could see some legislation popping up
Sure.
to try to restrict the growth of this great upstart business.
Yeah, maybe this community maybe not so enlightened as Nashville, where Art Laffer lives. Ed Burke lives here,
Right.
for example.
Right. So a ton of pushback from mom and pop thus far. I mean, that's what makes dry cleaning industry interesting is because it's a lot of small family-owned operations that are just kind of making their way by. I mean, we love everybody in the dry cleaning world, but we think we're doing a lot of things more appropriately than a lot of those mom and pop stores where maybe not everything's hitting the books and maybe not all the taxes are paid. So.
And this is app-based too, right?
It is app-based,
that's an important aspect of this.
Yeah, so all your orders can be placed through our app. You can set your settings, starch level, customer notes, credit card on file, all those sorts of things.
So we're sitting in like a quiet room right now, but you said starting around 11 a.m., the workers start coming in and they will start pressing and washing and sorting.
Yeah, absolutely. This floor is pretty live for 12 to 14 hours a day. We're doing about 3,000 items a day in Chicago and growing about 50% year over year. So.
Wow.
Well, that's big. And so the plans to expand in other urban centers?
Yeah, so we hope over the next 4 or 5 years to hit our top 20 to 25 MSAs. That would make us we would have the largest width in dry cleaning. There's never really been a national player doing this. So we'd be positioned in an interesting way to kind of interact with people looking to do dry cleaning, not just in apartments and condos, but kind of anywhere where they're
How has the regulatory environment been in the city and for the state? I think Dan asked state, but what about the city?
Sure. So, I mean, this footprint we're in right now has been our biggest kind of commitment. A lot of everything else is kind of handled on like a delivery business, essentially. So we made sure when we chose this location to work outside the city, obviously that's where all our customers is, so we want to be close. But we looked here and we looked right across the border in Indiana and tried to kind of weigh the benefits of both. We ended up choosing Skokie because you can get back and forth in 15 minutes, and that's important to us as well.
Do you have to press Lou Lang suits for free in order to maintain this facility in Skokie?
Yeah, not at liberty to discuss.
Yeah, of course not. All right, he is Drew McKenna. He's moving on up to a deluxe apartment in the sky, like myself, once upon a time when I was a young man and had dreams. They were dashed. I think Drew's are going to come true. The business is Pressbox. Pressbox. For more information on Pressbox, how to sign up, how to petition your building to get Pressbox, what do they do?
Download our app, Pressbox Cleaners in the App Store, or use Pressbox.com.
Drew McKenna, co-founder of Pressbox. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for coming out.
Dan and Kristen coming to you live from Pressbox in Skokie.
If you're talking about